Hi guys, this is Sandeep from Phone Arena, and in today's video we'll be taking a look at the detailed impressions of the Xiaomi Mi Mix smartphone. But before we do that, let me take a moment to explain what we're using to record this video. So this is a 4K Ultra HD video being captured at 24 FPS on the LG V20 smartphone. So this has a really nice internal mic as well. So we are using that to record this audio as well, and we are mounting it onto the DJI Osmo Mobile. So this entire video is handheld and is being shot by Siraj in our studio. So let's go ahead and take a look at the detailed impressions. And I'll start with the screen itself. So the screen is basically a 6.4-inch massive display, but because of the high screen to body ratio of 91.3%, it occupies quite a small form factor. It's not small, but relatively speaking, it's very small for the size of 6.4 inches, since most of the other smartphones with such a screen size, including the Xiaomi Mi Max and the Z Ultra, are much bigger than this with the same screen size. So the screen itself is actually beautiful. It's really gorgeous. It has a resolution of 2050 by 1080 pixels. And apart from that, it also has an aspect ratio of 17:9, which is quite unusual, and hence the unusual resolution. But if you look at the details, you see that the edges over here have been rounded off rather than having a rectangular edge for the display that just cuts off abruptly. This actually has rounded edges. Now we're not quite sure just how Xiaomi have pulled this off. It could be just a trick that they're playing with the bezels over here. So they could have had a rounded bezel over here to make the display seem rounded, or the actual display itself, which is provided by Sharp, could be rounded at the edges as well. Apart from that, this display comes with a proximity sensor, an ultrasonic proximity sensor that senses when you place it next to your ear, and it works really well. But the good thing about this is that it has no earpiece. Is that good? Yes, because you can still hear audio, but it's through a special metal sheet that is housed beneath the display. It vibrates and you get the audio into your ear. So the good thing about it is that it's really clear. The audio is crisp and you can hear everything that the party at the other end is telling you. But what is not so good is the volume output. Volume output is actually much lower than a typical earpiece. So this means that if you're in a loud or busy environment, you might not be able to hear the party at the other end perfectly well. But if you're in a reasonably loud environment, it's pretty good, or else you can use a wired or wireless headset. Apart from that, the sound is also a bit hollow. Seems like there's a bit of issue with that because it's actually a different sort of an earpiece. But apart from it, it sounds really great, and you can use it practically like you're using just about any other smartphone. Coming to the bezels, since it has really small bezels, what they've had to do is mount the front-facing camera as well at the bottom right corner here. Now, if you're worried about actually looking weird when you're looking at the camera, the good thing is that Xiaomi provides a rotatable UI for the camera. So all you have to do is head into the camera. We're going to switch to a front camera. So I'm going to switch to a front camera, and if I rotate the UI, all the elements come at the bottom. So that is something pretty good, and you can see the camera at the top, and it seems like it's a completely natural photo that's being taken. Apart from that, the other good thing is that the entire body is made of ceramic. Not just the back panel, or not just the buttons, but the buttons, the back panel, everything is made of ceramic, and it has a certain weight to it that gives it a premium feel. And apart from that, the main reason why it's good is the fact that it is quite scratch resistant. So you won't be able to scratch this as easily as you would be able to scratch most other metals or other smartphone surfaces. The bad thing about this is the fact that it has a total fingerprint magnet, as you can see here, and you can actually sort of clean it pretty well, but then again you touch it and then it's all gone. But a way to mitigate it to some extent is actually using the leather cover that they're bundling with the Xiaomi Mi Mix. And considering that this is more of a limited production sort of mobile, I don't think you'll be getting much third-party accessories for the smartphone. Now, one thing I didn't really like about the smartphone is basically the fingerprint sensor over here. It's quite fast, it's always active, and it's easy to unlock the smartphone. But what is bad about it is the fact that it's not actually much depressed into the casing. It's quite on the same level as the camera module or the body itself, and it becomes a bit difficult for you to position your fingers correctly. And the case actually helps to a certain extent. If you know that the bottom edge is over here, you can actually keep your finger over there, so it helps to a certain extent. But even then, I feel that this is something they should have addressed. While they have paid so much attention to detail at the small stuff, in the smartphone, they could have gone further ahead and made this a bit more depressed into the casing, but perhaps there was a constraint in terms of the actual space that's available inside the smartphone, considering that there's so much high tech and high end specifications for this. So this here is the 4GB version. It comes with 4GB of RAM and 128GB of internal storage. There's also a higher variant with 6GB of RAM and 256GB of internal storage. On top of that, you get gold bezels for the camera module as well as the fingerprint sensor on the higher end variant. So I've heard a lot of people complain about the pricing for this. So 3,500 yuan or roughly 35,000 rupees for the 4GB version and 4,000 yuan or roughly 40,000 rupees for the 6GB version. To be honest, that's not a lot. It's actually one of the cheapest smartphones that you can buy on the market now for a flagship product, especially with such specifications and powered by a Snapdragon 821 processor. It's a really high-end handset. And considering that you get such a beautiful screen and an all-ceramic body, I think the price is totally justifiable, and Xiaomi have always been known to provide good value for money. Now the question is, do you want to invest so much in a smartphone? For me, yes, personally, I would say that this is totally worth the bang for the buck, and most other smartphones on the market can't even compete with this in terms of the design or the basic functionality that it provides, since it is so unique. Other manufacturers might take a year or even more to come up with this sort of a design that is so revolutionary. While this is definitely the way of the future, you can still buy it right now, and although it's not coming to India for sure, you can still import it and it will still support all the bands. And as you can see, it's a dual SIM device, which also is a really good selling point. It is powered by a massive 4400 mAh battery, and it lasts a long time thanks to the power consumption reduction on the Snapdragon 821 chipset, as well as the display, which is still a 1080p display despite being a large screen display. Other than that, this is a really good smartphone. We'll also be taking a look at the cameras in detail. Front camera is actually a 5 megapixel camera, while the rear one is a 16 megapixel camera. So we'll be comparing those two in a separate video. But that's it for now, guys. That was my first impressions, and if you ask me, will I get this? I would if I could. It's a really great smartphone. Let us know what you think about it. Also, let us know what you think about this video in general. How good was the video quality from the V20, and how good was the stabilization from the DJI Osmo Mobile? That's it for the video, guys. If you like this video, do like, share and subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching.